Hi there, welcome back. So today's video, we've got two pumpkins for you. Gonna use the same mold, which I've turned inside out, and a selection of mica powders, chrome powders, acrylic inks, and so on. But look at the detail in this mold. Now this mold came from a Temu haul, I think it was Temu, that you may have seen recently. This is not a mica powder. This is a chrome powder that is supposed to be used for nail art. As usual, everything that we've used in today's video will be linked in the description box below. Just loading it up there onto a dry bristled brush. That's actually a makeup brush, believe it or not. Not one that I use to apply makeup, I might add. One that I just use for crafting. So just not sure quite how this mould is going to take to this, but thought we'd try it anyway. Look at that green. Wow. We've got another colour green here now. Now this is from Resin. It's their mica powder. The one on the left that you can see, it's a real pea green colour. That is just from Amazon. It's a chrome nail powder. And then I'm adding in another like dark green and a golden green. Those are from Let's Resin. Again, as I said just now, everything we used in the video will be linked in the description box. What you could see me doing there was turning the mould upside down and just giving it a good tap to make sure all the excess mica powder comes out and goes onto that paper towel that I've got. Now, a lot of this video, because it's repetition, has been sped up. You don't need to sit and watch me put brush mica powder onto moulds for prolonged periods of time because, you know, not everybody wants to sit for 15 to 20 minutes watching me do that, and we don't want people getting bored. But with that in mind, thank you for joining us today. If you've joined us in the live chat, hello. Hope you're all doing well. What have you been up to this week? What have you been making? Have you embraced the idea of making seasonal things, gifts to sell or to give away or to decorate your home with? What have you all been up to? What have you been making? What's your favourite craft? Let us know in the comments. It's always nice to know what's going on, what other people are getting up to. So I did the lid there and just showed you a few close-ups. And this is the sped up version of me just doing exactly the same technique with the colours of the chrome powders, the nail chrome powders and the mica powders to the pot part of this mould, which ironically is in the shape of a pumpkin. So as I said, I think at the beginning, we're going to do this. This video shows you us making two pumpkins. It's the same mould, but with different processes. So you get a totally different end result. There is a third way that you can do, which we didn't get around to doing because we just completely ran out of time. And, you know, your everyday life takes over sometimes. And yeah, so we've brought you two out of three possibilities that we thought of. The third one we haven't brought you is to use eco resin. In our case, it would have been Aquacast, which is a product by Elichem, which is activated with water. It's powder, so all the chemicals it needs to give it like a plaster of Paris effect. So it cures really quickly within usually an hour to an hour and a half, and it gives you a solid, usually white or off-white colour to work with, and actually feels like stone or not concrete, but it's smooth usually as well. So we had hoped to be able to use the same mould again, make that one and do some hand painting for you, but as I say, apologies, we ran out of time. So here I am. I've mixed up some regular epoxy resin, Tea Expert, our brand of choice, as you well know by now. Added in some of the mixes of mica powders. It's gone like a dark caramel goldy orangey colour. And that does have an effect on the end result, which you'll see, because those mica powders were quite brilliant, weren't they? A brilliant orange bright colour. This... well, let's just see when we see the demould. But you can see what I'm doing here. I'm putting quite a lot of effort into making sure there are no air pockets or bubbles trapped just underneath the rim of the bottom part of that mould. That is the lid to the mould, to the pot even, I should say. Now, I'm going to, spoiler alert, we get a few little trap bubbles, but I show you what I do to correct that. So just filling up the base here, making sure I'm just lifting up a little bit off the surface, dropping it down carefully. Do be careful if you're going to do that. And then spritz it with some isopropyl alcohol, let it cure completely overnight. Could have left it for a bit longer, but I'm impatient, like a lot of crafters are, and decided to demold. So here we are, we're going with the lid. Now, I always find this a little bit difficult, but that's because I have got on a pair of gloves here that are way too big. And this is quite fiddly. Now, I'm using a stir stick here, a little coffee stir stick, just to go around the inside to try and release the suction of the mould from the resin. You've probably spied it now. We've got some little holes where there shouldn't be. But not deterred, I carried on. You'll have a bit of a close-up of this in a minute. Nice and clean out of the mould. Whoops, dropped it. Never mind. But look at that. Got some massive air pockets or little bubbles that got trapped. Oh, and I did a lot of work on trying to make sure that didn't happen. But never mind, it is fixable. But look how dark that orange is now. I know it looks very bright because we've got a white background and we've got a lot of natural light coming through, which is interfering with the camera. Never mind, we will learn. And here is the base part. Now, when the resin cured, it shrank back quite a lot from the base, the bottom of that pot there. So it is a little bit on the thin side. So what you can do if that ever happens is you can always top it up a little bit. Just pour a very thin layer of clear resin and, you know, it'll top it back up a bit. Make sure that you've got nice smooth edges. If you've got any sharpness, use an emery board or a deburring tool to remove. Just take that sharpness off. But look at that. Copper, bronzy, gold sort of effect with the green just in the little creases of the pumpkin. The nice, beautiful, greeny, bronzy coloured leaf, and then the deep orange glow on the inside. So look at that. That looks rather lovely. A little bit soft still on the bottom, as I said, so we'll leave it another 24 to 48 hours, see what it's like when it's completely cured. So we're going to make the repairs to where you could see those little holes. And we just use it using some of this UV tape. So this is for using if you've got open back bezels and so on, if you've ever used those with UV resin. You just cut up some pieces, put it on the back, make sure it's completely smoothed down. It's very, very sticky. And then all I'm doing is taking some UV resin, just squidging a little bit into that pot. And then I'm going to add in some of that brilliant sort of goldeny, orangey, bronzy mica powder. Again, that's by Let's Resin. Mix it up. Now, I did add in a bit more UV resin because I didn't quite have enough. Mixed it up thoroughly. There we go. And then applied it a little bit at a time to where we got the holes and these little air bubbles, and just hoped that it was going to. Now, warning, there is a UV light coming up soon, which you may see. I think I've left that clip in. Yeah, so do a little bit at a time, thin layers, cure it with the light, go back, refill it a bit more, cure it, go back, refill it a bit more, and then cure it. So just clearing it up a little bit there because it spilled out. Cured it a little bit with the light, a little bit more. Make sure you do it from both sides as well, and then once you're happy with it, you're done. Now, it did sort it, but it didn't do it enough so you couldn't see it. So yes, I've got a thing for gold, as you know. So I'm going in with a bit of this lovely golden gilt paint, which you will have seen me use in previous videos. If you haven't, why not check out our playlist and you can see us, what we've made, those beautiful leaves and pine cones recently. That was back here a few days ago now, almost, yeah, nearly a week coming up. The weeks fly by. And I'm just applying some of the golden gilt paint, or golden, yeah, gilder's paint, and using a brush and then using a silicone tip tool and just trying to blend it in a bit so it's not quite so obvious where we've got those little, should we just say abrasions, little beauty spots, let's call them that, on the lid part of the mould. And then just going around the edge as well, just giving it, just kissing it with the paint there, just a little tip on the very tip edge of that lid. There we go. And then in the little divider sections of the top of the pumpkin. I love the detail on that leaf. It's gorgeous. So we're just going to outline it. Just going to just try and get little bits of gold on it. Now you can of course use gilding wax if you've got that, golden gilding wax, which you probably see me use a little bit later on in the video, or you might have seen me use in other videos. You can use that if you want, but yeah, it didn't really work. Now this is the same mold again. I thought we'd use some of that glitter, which looked sort of orangey golden with a little bit of black. Maybe use some of this, maybe some of this, and maybe some of that. Now, I actually swapped the glitter out for golden glitter because I wasn't aware of the fact that those little black bits are actually bats. You may be thinking, well, what's wrong with that? Well, that's okay if that's what you want to do, but I didn't want the bats in it. Now, I wanted to show you this process because I love this colour. It's a real organic egg yolky yellowy orange colour. And all I did is used a pipette to draw up some of it, or rather a lot of it, into the pipette, and then put it on the top of this, or introduced it to the epoxy resin. Again, this is 1:1 mixing ratio, regular epoxy resin, and all I've done at this stage is divided it into 3 little mixing jugs and added in the the acrylic ink, and then this beautiful mica powder. Now this, not mica powder, let's get this, you know it is mica powder, Laura, yes. And I'm just smushing it across the surface, love that term, and then really mixing it in well. Again, this has been sped up because I took my time mixing it. Be careful when you're mixing resin, make sure you're wearing all the appropriate PPE, the gloves, work in a well ventilated room, wear a respirator mask, and obviously eye protection, clothing protection, all the usuals you know by now. But look at that gorgeous colour, and then here with the darker orange or orangey red. Absolutely beautiful. Love these colours. So yes, as I said earlier, if you've joined us in the live chat, hi. Hopefully you're interacting with us. We're very friendly, I promise. If you haven't joined us in the live chat, but you're watching the video, thanks for watching. We really appreciate everybody that views and watches our videos, gives us a thumbs up, likes it, shares it, subscribes, hits the notification all bell, so then you'll be notified every time we upload a video. It's quite unusual at the moment for us to upload a video on a Wednesday. We always used to, but we changed our schedule pattern and just stuck to uploading videos twice a week on a Friday and a Sunday at 5 p.m. UK time. But as I said, we missed Sunday's video, I'm afraid. We ran out of time. Couldn't get the edit done in time for you. So this should have been released last Sunday, but it's coming to you now today on a Wednesday. So there we go. Rather than miss a video completely, we thought we'll pop it in. We'll get it published to you, ready for the Wednesday. So there we go. Filled up the pot mold part of the pumpkin and the top of it as well, which is the lid and the leaf. I had leftover resin, so I just added it all into this one big cup, because you can see the different 2 colours hopefully there out of the cup. And I have this lovely mould, which is actually from a local supermarket, Morrisons if you're in the UK. It's from their nutmeg homeware range. It's a silicone mould, so the resin's not going to stick to it. It's got a shiny surface, and you're supposed to use it for baking or making sweet treats, chocolates, that sort of thing. But as you have seen in previous recent videos, we've got similar moulds like this that have got acorns and leaves that we've used, and I just wanted to use up the leftover resin and make some little mini pumpkins with it. So just poured it in. I did go in each of these and round the edges with a cocktail stick just to make sure there was nothing trapped there. Spritzed it all with some isopropyl alcohol and let it cure overnight. So this is the following day. Well, this is on this lovely honeycomb mat that we got from Resiners. It came with their hand mixing tool, which hopefully you'll have seen in a previous video. And like I said, if not, check out our playlist and you'll be able to see it. Look at this deep orange. It glows. The little shimmers of gold, which is that golden mica powder. The different shades of the yellowy orange and the deep orange are absolutely stunning. Really, really warming colours. Really beautiful, warm colours. Absolutely stunning. So there we go. So just going to show you this one. It's come out nice and crisp. No holes this time. Look at the two leaf top. Did you see that? The two lids compared. The two completely different effects. Had I not have done a darker resin in the first pot, you would have got more of an orangey colour, I think. But the comparison's lovely. This is some resin that has, overflowed from the mould and then cured within this honeycomb mat. Look at that. I just wanted to show you that because I thought that was rather cute, really. And obviously anything you get like that, you can take out from the mat quite easily. It just comes out of it. Just push it up and it all releases itself. And keep it. Pop it in a little pot and keep it for another project. So here we go, demoulding these miniature pumpkins, which you could put as hanging decorations. You could put on a garland. You know, I mean, you could stick them down to a wooden tray, a bowl. The world's your oyster, really, with these. But look at that, with the beautiful deep orange colours, the egg yolky yellowy orange colour, and, of course, the glitter. Look at that sparkle. It's stunning. Now, gilding wax is coming. Loading it up by just brushing my finger into the little pot of golden goodness. And then brushing it, literally just rubbing and brushing over the surface of this little pumpkin. Now, of course, you don't have to do this step, but I thought, why not? Let's see if it works. Let's see if it picks up better than it did on the previous pumpkin I made, which of course it did. And then this next section is me doing the same thing to a few of the others, just sped up a little bit. There we go. So there we are. We're just doing that now. Sorry, it's slightly out of shot there. Now, I wanted to do the same thing to the pumpkin pot itself. So again, loaded up my finger with the gloved finger, I might add, with the gilding wax and just brushing it over the raised part of the leaf on this lid. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. Now, it does go over onto some of the segmented sections of the lid, but that's not a problem. You can either wipe them off using a paper towel. It should just come straight off. Or, you can sort of blend them in. Then I went all the way around the rim edge part of the lid, applying the golden mica. It just creates a bit more shading and highlights and so on. As I said, you don't have to do this, but I quite like doing these little finishing touches. It gives it that little flourish, makes it even more unique than it already is. And obviously then just went a little bit around the edges too. So these got a couple of final shots for you here. Here we have our lovely pumpkin pots with the miniature pumpkins. And I've also included in some of those beautiful green golden leaves and acorns that we made in our previous video. So thank you everyone who has watched this video, whether you've joined us today for the premiere in the live chat, watching it after it's premiered. We really appreciate everybody that does that. Have a fantastic rest of the week, crafting or whatever you're doing. And we'll see you again very soon with another video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.